Planning a trip with multiple generations, this kind of vacation can be a full contact sport. Grandma wants museums, the kids want theme parks, and your uncle just packed 6 pairs of flip flops for a weekend. But somewhere between the airport meltdowns, forgotten passports, and 47 snack breaks, magic happens. This is Wander and Chat, and today we're diving headfirst into the beautiful chaos of multi-generational travel. Buckle up, someone's definitely crying in the rental car.
Welcome.
It's been a hiatus.
It has been a hiatus. We have encountered, I think, everything this summer that you could encounter. We've traveled, we've had kids home from college, we have had travel illnesses, we have had travel delays, we have done it all. But in the middle of everything, you went to Cancun. So how
I
was that?
did. So I went to Cancun on a press trip for a newish resort. It's been open for about a year called Ava. And so this isn't part of like a chain. It's, the only Ava. It's 10 minutes from the airport, which was such a benefit
That's nice.
because, and when I say 10 minutes from the airport, I mean like I thought the driver was doing a U-turn and he was pulling into the
Oh,
hotel.
wow.
So close. And it was great. It was obviously very hot, but the food was like unbelievably good. They have
Nice.
all different types of sit-down restaurants for dinner. They have two. It's kind of an interesting layout. Everything's in one building,
Hmm.
and there's two wings to the building. And a lot of stuff is duplicated. So there's two coffee shops, there's two buffets, there's two gelato places. And it felt almost like being on a cruise ship because everything was in that one corridor.
Hmm.
And then in addition to multiple pools, beach, like the typical resort stuff, it also had and these were like kind of add-ons, but they had a bowling alley, they have an escape room.
Nice.
And I don't mean like a little conference room turned into an escape room. I mean like a legit, escapology
That's
escape room.
nice.
They have laser tag and like these like racing simulators. So yeah, it was really cool. And they had like this big summer festival with like guest chefs and guest mixologists, guest DJs. So it's just like a really fun atmosphere.
And is it like everybody's invited? Kids are invited as well, or
Yeah,
is it
it's
an
very
adults
kid
only?
friendly. They have huge kids club, like
Nice.
huge, but also literally the largest spa I've ever seen.
Oh, wow.
I mean, immense with like hydrotherapy circuit, all sorts of treatments, this like full gym with like
Oh.
all sorts of classes, personal trainers, TRX classes, yoga. So yeah, it was kind of one of those, a lot of people like doing fitness stuff earlier in the morning.
Hmm.
They have like nightclubs and like kids activities. They also have like a huge theater that's almost like a cruise ship theater
Oh, wow.
where they put on shows. When I was there was like a mariachi Mexican culture type show. So yeah, it was really fun.
Is this an all-inclusive resort?
It's all inclusive, but the stuff like the escape room and the bowling is extra,
Hmm.
but the food's included, the drinks are included, coffee shop, all of that is included.
That sounds really nice.
Yeah, it was really nice. Oh, and because of the way it's like laid out, like I mentioned, like the long way, because of that, every room has an ocean view.
Oh, wow.
And they have like these soaking tubs on the balconies.
Oh
So,
my gosh.
yeah,
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah.
Multiple pools, or is there like an adults only
Yep,
area?
adults only pool. They have like a big vacation club element, so that there's like a members only pool, but then they have this, they call it Ava Bay. It's a huge, like zero entry, like gigantic, like pool lagoon, and people were doing like kayaking on that.
Oh, wow.
So, and then there was like a younger kid, like little water park with like some
Mhm.
little water slides and stuff, but really, really nice.
Oh, it sounds nice.
Yeah.
And how long did you stay?
I was only there for 3 nights. Luckily, I got a direct flight to Cancun. It was really like I want to say less than 4 hours.
Oh, wow.
And, I'd heard a lot about bags taking a long time in Cancun, but I didn't check. So,
Mhm.
I walked out and, like I said, was at the hotel pretty shortly thereafter.
And was 3 nights a good taste, or do you feel like you could have used a little more time?
Yeah, if I was on a family vacation, I would have wanted to do longer. There was like an excursions desk and there were people doing excursions. Obviously, I didn't do that. I think I would have, yeah, I would have wanted to have spent the whole time I was in Cancun, I was at this resort.
Hmm.
But I think if I was with kids, I would have wanted to spend like more time doing the activities
Yeah.
and a little bit more time at the pool. I'd say probably 4 or 5 nights.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was like a great place for like because it felt like a cruise ship. It was also one of those places you could go with a group of girls or,
Yeah.
with multiple families, a lot of different things you could do.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so we have so much to chat about since we've been gone so long, but we are going to jump right in and talk about multi-generational travel and what happens when you mix toddlers, teens, parents, grandparents into one travel itinerary. Well, you get a vacation that's equal parts heartwarming and completely chaotic. I mean, you could just imagine. From negotiating nap schedules to surviving group tours with wildly different energy levels, multi-generational travel isn't just a trip, it's an adventure. It's diplomacy, it's patience, it's unexpected bonding, it's all of those things. And today on Wander and Chat, we're exploring how to make these trips memorable for the right reasons and why traveling with your whole crew might just be the best kind of a beautiful mess. And I'm just back from my multi-gen travel and
You have done these.
I have done them. It was all of these things.
Okay, so let's start out with how do you choose the destination? So obviously you've got multiple opinions, you've got multiple sleep times and, you know, all sorts of stuff. So how are you picking where you're going?
Yeah, so the key is not to emphasize making everyone happy because, as we know in life in general, it's just not possible. So
Right.
you want to try and aim to make a little bit of everybody's needs included in this vacation. You want to look for destinations that have variety. You want something that's relaxing, but you also want activity for the people in your
Right,
family that are
right.
going to want to do the hikes or the more, outdoorsy type things. You want cultural experiences. You want nature. You need Wi-Fi for the teenagers. You might need, especially with this kind of travel, a little wine for the grown-ups. So the key is rather than choosing the perfect destination for everybody, because that's just not attainable, is to choose something that has a lot of flexibility and flexible options. I always, when a client will call me and say, we want to do this big family trip, what is your suggestion? Cruises are really one of the best ways to do that.
Yep.
They will take you to different locales. Almost every locale that they take you to will have cultural options to explore. There will be outdoorsy active options to explore. There will be, at a lot of these destinations, the opportunity to just lay on the beach and not do a whole lot of stuff. You want to find resorts or destinations or definitely cruise ships that have kids clubs so that when the kids get a little too much, mom and dad and grandmom and grandpop can go have a dinner at the adults only restaurant
Hmm.
and the kids are well taken care of in a kids club. You want to make sure nobody is bored, but you also want to make sure nobody is overstimulated. So
Right,
kids
right.
clubs are great for that. Cruises are great for that. All inclusive resorts are great for that.
Hmm.
If you're going to plan your own road trip, for example, you want to look for areas that have a lot of options in a reasonable travel distance. And I'm going to use Philadelphia here because we live in Philadelphia. And from Philadelphia, we have the history of our city. We have a diverse culture in the city. We have all kinds of food. We have Michelin stars. We have James Beard Award winners. We have all of that. We have museums. We have theaters. But we also have, in an hour, you can be at the Jersey Shore. In
Hmm.
an hour and a half, you can be on Broadway in New York.
Right.
In 2.5 hours, you can be in Washington, D.C. In an hour and 40 minutes, you can be in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania for a little bit of like the Amish culture.
Hmm.
So when you're planning like road trips or you want to go to a specific destination, look for ones that have all of these options available to you.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely makes sense. And I agree with you on cruises because there are just so many options.
Yeah. Even like us traveling, like you and I and our friends, like it's nice to go on a cruise where, like on our last cruise, half of the girls went to the buffet, we went to the sit down restaurant.
Right,
Like
right, right.
there's a lot of options.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that kind of gets to the point of like, is it better? I know a lot of people like want to rent a vacation home because everybody can stay together.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you're doing a cruise, you're probably in like separate staterooms. So is it better to get like one big place that everybody can stay, or kind of do the individual room thing?
I think this really depends on your family. Like a lot of people do love the big rental home. You can,
Hmm.
I mean, there's a kitchen. Everybody can sit around the big dining room table. You can all sit and watch movies or, do all the things. But there's no real place for you to get away from everybody.
Right, right, right.
We rented a few years ago, we rented a big beach house in the Outer Banks for all of my kids, my grandkids, and some extended family. And even just making sure where everybody was sleeping became a bit of a challenge. It
Yeah.
was we had little kids with us that were going to be going to bed at 7 or 7:30. It was a three-story house, on the beach in the Outer Banks because everything is elevated. And it was like, well, can everybody get up the stairs? I don't want to put somebody on the third floor to
Right,
sleep if
right.
they really can't do those stairs. Who gets the rooms that have the ensuite bathrooms? Like, does it matter to have that away from where the kids are so they're not up playing in the bathroom or whatever all night long?
Hmm.
So you want to really look at what's practical for your family. Absolutely, one of my recommendations is if you're staying at a hotel, get adjoining suites, or if an
Hmm.
option is a hotel instead of a big house, get adjoining suites. So you can kind of go in between each other's rooms. The grandkids can run over to see their grandparents first thing in the morning, but you also can close the doors at night so that you have your own space. If you've got little ones, they have their own space to go to sleep. So you really have to narrow down how your family likes to travel and what everybody's needs are.
And the destination too. I think, there's some places lend themselves more to a vacation home than others, and the type of vacation.
Yeah, and you probably know that from Cape Cod. There's a lot of vacation homes
Right,
available there.
right, right. Yeah, definitely. So what about, and this is kind of a big one when you've got multiple families, right? How do you handle the budget for the trip?
Yeah, that's really tricky. And I will just tell you this story about, and I probably have mentioned it before, but if I haven't, my dad loved to travel. And they decided, him and his siblings, they were going to go on this big family vacation, just the grown-ups.
Hmm.
So his brothers and sisters, they all got together. They booked a place in Hawaii. It was a beautiful hotel, and they wanted to do all of the touristy things. Well, I have an aunt and an uncle that are very budget conscious. They're
Yeah.
very frugal, and they didn't want to do all of the things. So their routine every morning was to get up, have breakfast with everybody, and then they would go and buy a bucket of chicken from Kentucky Fried Chicken, and they would sit on the beach all day. Well, that frustrated my father to no end because he envisioned this big, like, we're all going to go to Pearl Harbor. We're going to go see the volcanoes. We're going to go all as a group
Right.
to do this. But because of their budget, it just wasn't the type of vacation they could do. So you've got to set those expectations long before the trip. You have to be transparent. Let everybody know what's included, what's optional, what you're going to have to pay out of pocket on your own. It always helps if you have a hotel that includes a breakfast, or if it's an extended stay. Some of them include like an evening cocktail hour where you can kind of almost put a dinner together with the snack type food.
Hmm.
Drury hotels, as an example, they
Yeah, yeah.
include an evening dinner. So, if you've got people on different budgets, that might be something for you to look at. And you
Right.
also don't split hairs at dinner. Like, don't nitpick over the check. Don't expect one person to pick up the whole check. Don't expect necessarily that you're going to split everything evenly. If you've got a portion of your family that's working on a budget and they order like an appetizer and a drink, don't now expect them to pay an equal portion where everyone else has ordered an appetizer, an entree, a dessert,
Right.
cocktails, the whole thing. So you want to just let everybody know up front, these are the group trips we'd like to do. Give people an out if they don't want to go on those things, and look for options with lodging that work for everybody. You
Yeah.
can absolutely find hotels where there are nicer suites and like a standard room accommodation. So consider everybody, know who's responsible for what. If you're going to be in a rental home, who's paying for the food when you go to the grocery store, or
Right.
who's going to
Right.
cook the meal. Like, you want to just have all of that conversation out front before
Yeah,
you even start your planning.
absolutely. And that kind of brings to balancing various needs, right? Like, I mean, obviously, you're going to have kids that are needing things. Like, how do you make sure that everybody's like well rested, taken care of? Do you just kind of do your own thing with your family, or kind of how do you handle that?
Yeah, I think this also is about expectations. Karen, our friend Karen, mentioned on a phone call a couple weeks ago to me that Sunday mornings are donut and coffee time for her
Mhm.
family. The whole family gets together, everybody is there, it's donuts and coffee. And you can build that kind of a thing into your vacation. Build blocks where we're all going to get together for donuts and coffee, and then everybody can go do their own thing for the day. So if somebody just wants to sit on the beach, or if somebody wants to
Right.
go kayaking or to a museum or whatever, you don't have to all be together. And then if somebody needs an afternoon nap or a baby needs some downtime, you can build that in. We also have learned through our own travel, it's just you can't expect people to want to do the 10-mile hike while you're doing it. You
Yeah.
can't expect people to want to sit in a quiet room because your baby is sleeping. So there's also an opportunity for you to be flexible. Like we,
Yep.
on our recent cruise, we had planned this big scavenger hunt. My daughter found it online. It looked like it was going to be a lot of fun. We all agreed that this was going to be awesome. We were going to find highlights of this little town where we were. It was less than 2 miles, so it was definitely something we could do, but they didn't tell us ahead of time that it was the whole village was straight up in the air. Every place we went was uphill, and we're doing this scavenger hunt, and I'm old and fat, and it's like, okay, I don't really have a problem going 2 miles, but I didn't know it was two
2 miles
miles
just
straight
straight
up.
up.
Yeah. So, after a little while, Jim and I were like, we didn't sign up for mountain climbing. We thought we were
Right.
going to walk past like the town square, which
Yeah.
we were, except it was 2 miles straight up. So, like, there was an opportunity there for us to turn to our kids because the expectation was from the
Right.
beginning, if this is
Right.
something we can't do, we'll let you know. We don't expect you to do it or whatever. And we just said to her, this is a lot for us. Like,
Yeah.
we're not built this way. So we headed down, and we went back to Earth, and we got some coffee and some pastries, and we visited all the little shops down there. And after about 30 minutes, my kid called anyway, and she was like, yeah, there's nothing but up here, and we can't find half the things on this scavenger hunt. So have the ability to make these changes, be flexible, pivot when you have to,
Right.
adapt. If a grandmom says, no, I can absolutely go, I'll go with you. Don't be angry with her if she says, I'm taking an Uber back because I just
Right.
can't
Right.
do it.
Right. Right. Yeah. And I mean, I haven't done much in the way of multi-gen, but I obviously, like I like the beach and I like, you know, being out, but I can't get a lot of sun. And so, you know, we'll be on trips and, I did a trip with a bunch of families to Mexico and I'm the one, under the shade, kind of not, you know, in the pool all day. And, it's not a lack of, wanting to socialize. It's just kind of a needing to not be in
Yeah.
the sun. And so, obviously anything like that, mobility issues, health concerns, or even just personal preference. I mean, some people just can't be around other people 24/7.
Yeah.
Just communicating that is really key
Yeah.
because, you don't have to, it doesn't mean everybody else has to avoid the beach, right? But it's just like, hey, if you see me, you know, under a umbrella reading a book, I'm not like avoiding people. It's just, you
Yeah.
know,
And that's the key to just having the expectations out front. First of all, I love it when you decide to leave the beach because you've had too much sun, because 99% of the time I've had too much sun and I'm over the beach. So I'm very happy to go back out of the sun. But yeah, to know up front, that I'm not being antisocial. It's not that I don't like my family. It's just that I just need to do these things in this way.
well, you remember Lighthouse Point when I just kind of like had to leave the like blazing sun and go find
Yeah.
like the tiny patch of shade. Um, like you guys know that that's something I have to do, so it's not like
Yeah.
no one thinks anything of it. But
And it
you
worked
know,
out great because we all gravitated towards you because it was blazing hot sun.
yeah. But it's like if you guys didn't know that, you might think, wow, like what's wrong with her? Why is
Yeah.
she? So yeah, just kind of letting people know
Yeah.
is key. And with your family, obviously you might know a little bit more, but you don't really know people until you travel with them.
It's so true.
Nope, you do not. So, um, this is a big one, with families with teens because there is Wi-Fi everywhere, right?
Yes.
Even in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah.
So how do obviously, like we just talked about balancing needs, right? So teens, like they want to be connected. They want to be updating their Instagram but how do you kind of get that balance right?
It's a tough thing to do. And it's not just teens. Everybody is so connected anymore. And I think up front, you just have to know you're not going to get them off the screens entirely. And you have to be okay with it. So I think the trick during the day is to give them a responsibility. They're going to be the trip photographer. They're going to help navigate the stupid uphill scavenger hunt. They're going to do the food reviews, let them do their TikTok food reviews or whatever. Build in some more teen focused activities or stops. It might just be a cool street, like in the Dominican Republic. It could be a TikTok worthy cafe, something that they can get
Right,
online and share their experiences. And then compromise like at nighttime if they want to text their friends and talk about what's going on at home or whatever. I mean, that's what teens do.
right, right,
The harder thing um, is I think parents anymore. We were again just traveling with my daughter and son-in-law, and it was 2.5 weeks away from work for them, and it was so difficult for both of them to not check their work emails
yeah,
or to answer work emails or to see that someone copied them on an email that there was an issue going on. The temptation is so great to just let me just handle this real quick. Let me just
right,
hop
right, right,
online and see if I can do it. So, you have to remind them as well, you're on vacation. The people at work shouldn't expect you to be present for them.
right,
You need
right.
to be present for us. And maybe at the end of the day, there's a time you set aside to check all the work emails and stuff. And, I'm a grandma. Check my CNN every couple of hours to make sure, the country's still rolling and there's no natural disasters occurring
Right,
anywhere.
right.
You just have to learn, especially if you're trying to teach little kids, we're going to be device free. You have to practice it as grown-ups.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And there's very little that you learn, like, let's say you take like a boat trip and you're checking your phone. There's very little that your phone's going to tell you in the middle of the ocean that you didn't, you couldn't have waited till,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And my husband is a big, so when we did our last Alaska cruise, he has an app on his phone to track whales. That's fabulous. You're not steering the boat though, Jim. Like someone else is tracking the whales for you. And the track that you see is somebody who saw that whale at this spot 3 hours ago, 5 hours
Right,
ago.
right.
I don't know if you've met whales. They're generally pretty migratory. They move around a lot. The chances of you seeing them at the exact same spot are pretty remote. But the temptation, because he has the ability to do it, it's just tremendous. Like, I'm just
Right,
going to see if there are whales in this area.
right,
No,
right,
put your phone in
right.
your pocket.
So what do you think is like the biggest mistake? Like if we did one takeaway of like what not to do, what do you think that mistake is?
I think the biggest mistake is people trying to do everything together. It's super tempting to expect everybody to be at breakfast, everybody to be at lunch, everybody to be on this excursion or go to this museum. It's just not possible. It forces everybody to be together to the point that it will backfire. The best trip allows for grandmom and grandpop to do their mini missions, in the morning. If they want to go get their newspaper and their coffee or whatever, let them go and do that. And if the kids want to go do some snorkeling in the afternoon, let them go do that. Don't expect grandmom and grandpop to join in with that. Mom and dad might want to do a wine tasting or just sit at a bar and have a couple of cocktails in the evening. They shouldn't expect everybody to want to do that.
Right,
So togetherness works better when everybody chooses it as opposed to no, we all have to do this at the
right,
same
right, right,
time.
right. And how do you know, obviously vacation is it's a lot of memories. How do you like make sure all the generations kind of have great memories, not just the kids.
I think you have to incorporate things that cross generations.
Yeah,
At Disney, for example, they have the movies by the pool. I think
right.
that's a great opportunity for everybody to come together in the evening. Everybody loves a good Disney movie to sit around and, watch the movie, or maybe sit out if you have a beach house, go sit out by the fire pit or whatever and tell stories about when your grandparents were little, or things that you did as a baby growing up, or things that you remember your grandkids doing when they were babies. If you have an opportunity to do like a cooking lesson, or even just gather some local ingredients and cook a local dish together,
Hmm.
I think that's a lot of fun. And you maybe want to assign each generation to lead some kind of an activity. The kids might teach, I don't even know what the dances are called. I'm going to say the Macarena, which will tell you how old I am. Maybe the kids teach Grandma and Grandpa to do the Macarena, but Grandpa might do like a history tour of one of the things that you're going past. I just think it works where everybody sort of has a handle, or has a hand in what they're doing. One of
Yeah.
our best days on our last trip is we did not do a shore excursion. We just decided to go out on our own, and we found, it's called a ferry trail, and it's in Loch Lomond, Scotland. And it was a day where we just kind of went. We decided at the last minute this is what we were going to do, and it was so much fun because my grandkids are at an age where fairies are still very real. So
Hmm.
every little fairy house we saw, or every little signpost that was written by a fairy, they were so, they just believed that this was hallowed
Yeah.
fairy ground they were walking on. And for Jim and I, it was so much fun to watch them, because we haven't seen that since our kids were little, and our kids are all, 20 and over now. So like,
Right.
it was a chance for us to kind of relive those really young kid days. And for my daughter and son-in-law, it was a day where their kids were out exercising, they were out getting some fresh air, they were seeing the local culture. And then we popped into one of the local restaurants and we had haggis, we had fish and chips, we had scotch eggs, and we talked about everything that we had seen at the ferry trail. So you want to kind of let everybody have a hand in doing some of the planning, so that everybody has their expertise that they can share with another generation.
Yeah, I mean, I remember my son and I had gone to a science museum that had in the back like an old war submarine, and we were touring it, which was basically, it was just open, like it
Hmm.
wasn't a tour. And there was a bottleneck. And so we're like, why aren't we moving? A little bit of claustrophobia is hitting in, right? But when we kind of got a little further, we realized that there was a trip, and it was, a multi-gen trip, and the grandfather had been stationed in one of these subs.
Oh,
So
wow.
he was showing everything, and like more people were gathering, right? Because,
Yeah.
it was so much better than just a walkthrough. But yeah, any of those moments, like that museum was definitely more kid friendly, but,
Yeah.
the grandfather got into it too. So those are
And
always fun
it
moments.
creates memories for everybody, because that grandfather is going to take those memories away of, I was the star of the show, I was telling
Yeah.
everybody, everything about it. But also, all of the kids that gathered around went away with a really important history lesson. I love
Yeah.
that. I think that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. It was really cute.
Mail call, question stories, let's hear it all. From you to us, it's wonder and chat. So grab a seat, let's talk just like that.
Questions about food allergies. I did my cousin John's podcast the other day, and he could not believe how much you knew about traveling with food allergies. So I think it was a great topic to cover. But is there anything people need to know about taking these medications on vacation? If you're in a foreign country, if you're going on a cruise, and is it different, like if you just take like an over-the-counter Claritin, or if you've got an EpiPen?
I think, and this is the case of regardless of like what medicine you're talking about. If you are leaving the country with medication, you need to do your research about the destination and what's required. In a lot of cases, most cases, they want the original bottle. So that means your pill a day thing is, not a great idea.
Yeah.
Obviously, like for something like a Benadryl or something that you would only take like, for a situation, you wouldn't put that in. But you want to put those pills basically in the original containers. Some places for certain medications will require a written prescription. That would be more like for a controlled substance, but there are places where things like even Sudafed are not allowed.
Mhm.
So 100% you want to research the destination, find out what medications are allowed, what the requirements are, if they need to be declared. But yeah, in general, like if just speaking in a general sense, you're going to want to have the actual original package. And for EpiPens, that would be like the box
Yeah.
or the pill bottle if you had pills. But yeah, I mean, otherwise, like those specific medications, they don't necessarily need, they don't need refrigeration or anything. So beyond that, beyond the local regulations, there
Mhm.
isn't much.
Yeah. We also had a question, and I don't know if it was so much a question as a "Are you people crazy?" kind of a comment, but are you really supposed to be booking your Christmas trip now?
So I booked my Christmas trip for this year before last Christmas, but that's not normal for me. I mean, you don't have to do anything, right? Like, but
Yeah.
availability it gets to be more limited. So, yeah, in general, school schedules should be out.
Yes.
College can be a little tricky just because you don't necessarily know like when finals end because it might be specific by class.
Yeah.
So in that case, you'd probably want to basically be more cautious and say, I'm going to assume my kid is going to be in school till the last final.
Mhm.
And most colleges, like they close the dorm rooms down at a certain time, so it's not going past that. But yeah, I think if you want availability, you want the best pricing, you want the best flights, yeah, now.
Yeah. I agree. I absolutely agree. And I have not booked my Christmas travel plans yet because I don't even know where I'm going to be at Christmas. It's so chaotic at my house. Let's talk a little bit about what is interesting in travel news, and it is Barbiecore. What do you
Still,
know about Barbiecore?
Still, I mean, I have a Barbie pink suitcase, so I cannot talk. I mean, obviously, when that movie came out, it was everything, right? There were water bottles, there were suitcases, there was clothes. But I think like that big, bright, vibrant pink is, it's beautiful in social media. You and I both went to like that pink street in the Dominican,
Yes.
remember? I don't feel like that's necessarily a color that will go out of style in travel because it photographs so well.
Yeah. And it seems like it's getting more hardcore. Like there are hotels now that have like pink themed suites,
Hmm.
beach clubs. You just said you have pink luggage. I mean, it blew up. I mean, Barbie came back and it just blew up and people are not ready to let it go.
Yeah, yeah. And I think, yeah, it's a fun color. It's vibrant. It kind of does scream vacation, right? It's just kind of like a tropical color.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have actually said it's such a total beach color until I walked into Target a couple weeks ago and all of the Halloween stuff is coming out and there is so much pink Halloween stuff. So I think this is going to transcend seasons and destinations and everything else.
As someone who has a bright pink pumpkin that I put out,
There you go.
along with my blue pumpkins that I painted, yeah, I mean,
Barbie's here to stay.
color's fun.
Yeah, it is.
Says the
All
woman wearing the black sweater.
right. And I'm in gray. We're all about color. Multi-generational travel isn't always smooth sailing. There are missed buses, mismatched expectations and shocks, and way more snack breaks than you would ever believe. But in the middle of the chaos is those rare connections that are across all ages, all generations, built through the shared stories, the sunsets, and yeah, even a few meltdowns. If you're planning a trip with your whole crew or just dreaming of one, remember, it's not about getting it perfect. It's about making the memories. Thanks for wandering with us. We enjoyed the chat. If you like this episode, be sure to follow, subscribe, and leave us a review. And hey, share your own family travel wins or disasters with us on social because we would love to hear them.